I'll do my welcoming speech the Canadian way, so it'll be part in French, part in English. Bonjour à tout le monde, bienvenue à tout le monde à cette école d'été. Welcome everyone. Mon nom c'est Pierre Poirier, je suis le directeur de l'Institut des sciences cognitives, the director of the Cognitive Science Institute. So I'm happy to welcome you all and those on Zoom to this 10th, j'ai compté
10th summer school. I thought it was the 8th or the 9th.
So it's our 10th summer school. We started in 2005 with a summer school on categorization, and the last one was on large language models. So this summer school is going to last for 9 days, 9 days of school, 3 days this week, 3 days the next week, and 3 days the following week. As one of our co-organizer mentioned, but she's not here now, Elizabeth Allen Smith, she told us that nobody ever complained that there were too few welcoming speeches at the beginning of a conference. So there'll just be me and Serge afterwards. I'll just present the Cognitive Science Institute and the idea of our summer schools in general. And then Serge will present this summer school. Serge, who is one of the main organizers of the summer school. Well, the mission of the Cognitive Science Institute is to foster both research and formation or education in cognitive science here at the University of Quebec in Montreal. By developing curricula, by helping researchers or research teams or research labs forward their grant proposal or whatever. So it's our mission, and our main event is this summer school, which is a combination of both research, because all our talks are high-level research, present all high-level research for. I said I would speak in English and French, and I fell into the Canadian way again. I'm only speaking in English, but that's typical. So doesn't matter. So our mission is to foster, as I said, research and formation, and this summer school is one of our main events to do this. So I welcome you all. I'd like to thank those who worked very hard to organize this summer school. Yves Leblanc, who is our research assistant at the Cognitive Science Institute, and Fadila Alghani, who is our the direction secretary.
Secretary of the Institute.
The secretary of the Institute, who worked on all your plane tickets and everything. So without further ado, I'll let Serge present this summer school and the influence that we'll see in the next three weeks.
Well, thank you, Pierre. Well, I want to say welcome to everybody, the ones online and the ones in physical presence. As Pierre told you, it will be 3 weeks summer school, 3 days this week, 3 days next week, and 3 days the following week. When I was a young man a long time ago, there was a rock group named 10 Years After. I don't know if some remember that. So we're in the summer school 10 years after the one I organized with my colleagues on reasoning in 2016. And many of you were present here in 2016. I see psychologists recognizing that situation. So it's something like what happens with the reasoning 10 years after what you told us in 2016. And of course, as Pierre said, the Institute of Cognitive Science here at UQAM, like it happens in many universities, it's a place of convergence in which people from different disciplines recognize all of a sudden that they work on topics that are very close one to the other. It is human cognition that is behind any kind of human knowledge and any kind of science, and also any kind of reasoning. So we'll have, as usual in this summer school, days with psychologists, days with linguists, days with logicians and philosophers next week, days with computer scientists the week after. And I want especially to thank my colleagues on the scientific committee, the ones who will be chairing the different days. Henry Markovits today, Jeannie Brisson, where's Jeannie Brisson tomorrow. I'll be chairing Tuesday and Wednesday next week with logicians and philosophers. And Pierre will chair with cognitive architectures with Otalia Larue on next Thursday, next week, not next Thursday, the Thursday of next week. And then during the last week, we'll have the computer scientists with, and the sessions have been organized and will be chaired by Roger Villemer, Julien Mercier, Petko Valchev, and Flora Avellaneda, mi colega español, que habla español. And now, of course, since 2016, there are, I would say, topics that are more dominant now than they were in 2016, like cognitive biases, dual processes. I can imagine that there will be more about that this time than the time before. Also, the difference between explainable AI, which uses if-then rules and reasoning strategies, versus generative AI in the third week, especially in the section about logic. Well, forms of reasoning that are different from logic, like induction or abduction. We will have the next Tuesday almost a complete day about abduction. Also, the use of non-classical logic to model reasoning, like probabilistic logic, like fuzzy logic. And I will talk with Joseph of probabilistic fuzzy logic on Wednesday next week. And so I think that we'll have a very exciting summer school. And I once again thanks the lecturers who have accepted to be with us and to give us new information about what is reasoning and human cognition. And that is about it. So don't forget that for the students who are registered for credits, that tomorrow at noon, after your lunch, between 1 and 1:30, we will have
12:30 and 1 o'clock.
Between 12:30 and 1 o'clock, we'll have a meeting to give you some instructions about what you'll have to do to get the credits, the homework that you will have to do. And also, there is Jean-Vincent, where Jean-Vincent is right there. He will be the timekeeper. So he will show to the, we're sorry about that, but we have to respect, if possible, our schedule. So he will show you 10 minutes and 5 minutes announcements while you will be speaking. Of course, I'm talking to the speakers. So here we go. The floor is for Henry Markovits, who will be chairing the sessions for today. So Henry, the floor is yours.
All right, so these sessions have to do with the psychology of reasoning. And instead of giving a detailed explanation of the different approaches, I just wanted to think in a larger sense. So what is reasoning, right? Reasoning is usually classically, it's been examined in the context of logical thinking. So if you do mathematics or physics, you don't hear. Okay, is there?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, I will try and speak louder. Is that okay? All right. Okay, is that better now? Yes, okay. I will try and yell if I can. All right. So a lot of the study of reasoning has been done in the context of logical thinking. And that's the kind of thinking you do in mathematics and physics that allows you to reach logically valid conclusions based on premises, right? But the fact is that reasoning is a general process that allows anybody to reach a conclusion based on whatever premises they have in mind. So it's not only the underpinnings of logic, but it's the basis for much of our everyday thinking. Sadly. And this brought me back to when I started off way back in psychology to Piaget, right? Which probably maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't. Back in the day, Piagetian theory supposed that there was a developmental progression. Start as a child and learn a series of logics, basically, leading up to formal operational thinking. And the idea was that everybody would become formal operational. So they would become logical in the larger sense, okay? Unfortunately, this has been discarded because there's been a lot of data that shows that this is just not the case. But it just made me think of the basis for what Piaget was looking at. Piaget considered his field to be what's called genetic epistemology. That is the developmental study of the basic underpinnings of our cognitive system. Epistemology. So when we make an inference, when we reason, when we think, when we talk to people, we are using concepts that underlie this. And when he looked at what happened with children, what he claimed was, and I think it's actually true, that the epistemology of the concepts that children use differs from that older children and adults use. And I remember back in the day when I actually taught Piaget, I would send students out to do conservation experiments, and they would have the parents there and they would have the young children. And the parents were amazed how stupid their children were. They literally couldn't understand why they said it. And the whole basis of his approach was that if you don't have the same basic concepts, you can't understand what people are thinking because you're missing something fundamental. And unfortunately, we live in a universe now, and this is what I was saying to some people. Back in the day, we thought that education and progress would make everybody understand each other better. Seems to have gone the other way. We live in a universe in which people are having more and more problems understanding each other. And one way of thinking about it is that underlying these differences are differences in the way people reason, the way that people reach conclusions based on sometimes the same information, right? So that there's an epistemological difference here. And it's not just politics or differences in upbringing, but there's something maybe basic in the way that people are doing this. So one reason for looking at human reasoning and understanding how it works is to try and figure out what are the processes that people are using, so that if you can figure out the differences, maybe you can come to some way of understanding these different ways of looking at things. So this is one idea of why this field is useful. It's not just logic or not logic, but it's epistemology. Okay. So what are we going to deal with today? Very simply, we have two major themes today, two major themes that are critical to understanding how reasoning varies from people to people. The first, which is the first two talks that we'll have, is how do intuitive processes influence our reasoning? Unfortunately, there's been tons of evidence way back that says that people's intuitions, how they think about things without overtly thinking about it, influence how they make conclusions. And there are two different models here, right? One is that intuitions are bad because they influence reasoning in a way that has to do more with how you believe in things than what processes underlie it. And there's some evidence that, in fact, intuitions can be good. So the first two talks will look at these two dimensions. The second will look at models of how people make reasoned inferences. And that's the idea of what are the basic cognitive processes that allow us to arrive at conclusions, okay? And there are competing models here, and the second two talks will be looking at these two, right? I hope that you get some answers out of this, and I'll leave it up to the speakers to present theirs. Okay, thank you.